in Arkansas. Good evening and thank you for joining us, everybody. I'm Bob Clausen. Ashley is on assignment. The first results of soil samples taken in Mayflower after the oil spill are now back. They show toxins left over from the spill are still present and could be present a danger to the environment around Lake Conway. KARK4's Drew Petrimo joining us now live in the studio with the latest on this. What else have they found?
Well, Bob, these soil samples were taken at dozens of spots in and around Lake Conway and the neighborhood where the spill happened. And it's the levels of metals like nickel and other contaminants that caught the eye of scientists. Aside from the boom that floats on the top of the water, Lake Conway appears to be back to normal. But on the bottom of the lake, especially in the area that's become known as the Cove, tests show trouble sits at the bottom.
Each constituent would have a different possible ecological risk associated with it. In general, they just are at such a level that we could see some effect on the environment, the aquatic community.
The new fears come from results of tests conducted by an Exxon contractor under the supervision of the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality and the U.S. EPA.
They were taken throughout the entire impacted area, from the Cove all the way up through the ditches that lead back to the neighborhood.
ADEQ Deputy Director Ryan Benefield says the most concerning results came from the marsh area that leads into Lake Conway, where oil flowed after it spilled from a ruptured pipeline on March 29th. While Benefield says the toxin levels don't present a danger to humans, they will have to be removed to protect the environment.
Additional remediation will need to be done in that area and throughout the spill area.
Now, Exxon spent months working with heavy machinery to dig up and remove contaminated soil and vegetation, turning the Lake Conway area into a virtual construction zone. It's a time during which neighbors would like to forget, but with the results of the new soil samples, Benefield says new digging may be necessary. Bob.
All right, Drew, thank you very much. New information coming into the KARK4 newsroom this afternoon as the state says it will no longer pick up the tab for furloughed federal workers. In an email sent today, Governor Mike Beebe telling state agency directors that due to the shutdown, quote, the state of Arkansas simply does not have the resources to continue to cover the cost of federal programs, end quote. In the letter, the governor says the funding will end this Friday. On the heels of that information, the Arkansas Department of Workforce Services says nearly 1,000 federal workers have applied for unemployment benefits since the government shut down. They say in the last 7 business days, the office received benefit requests from 970 federal workers. They say they typically get only 25 similar filings in the same amount of time. Impacted federal workers can continue to request unemployment assistance during the shutdown. Very important to make note of that. And we spoke to the Arkansas Republican Congressman Tom Cotton about the latest in the shutdown. You can hear what he has to say by going to our website, arkansasmatters.com.
Oh, that's pretty careful too.
Had to be rolling to capture a precious moment like that. Soldiers returning from Afghanistan were greeted by their family and friends at Clinton National Airport. This is a scaled-back celebration, though. Soldiers had expected a rather grand homecoming celebration, one due for returning soldiers. Also, they expected to fly home on a chartered plane. That didn't happen. The government shutdown canceled those plans, and soldiers flying in at different times throughout the day, not as a single unit as they went out. These brave Americans say they didn't have to have all the fanfare. They're just glad to be back on familiar territory.
We appreciate all the thought and everything, but it's just back at home, seeing our family.
And they are back at home. Welcome home. Some community members have talked about footing the bill for a celebration a little bit later on. We'll keep you up to date on that. A housing authority executive director in Arkadelphia is still on the job after being arrested. Arrested for rape. 56-year-old Frederick Hatley being investigated after Arkadelphia police arrested him late last week. Now, as KARK4's Josh Berry tells us, a no contact order filed demanding he stay away from the alleged victim. Josh, this happened when that person was looking for a job?
Yeah, that's right, Bob. The victim, whose identity we're keeping hidden, says he was at the Housing Authority building looking for a possible job opening when inside the executive director's office, he was raped. According to police incident reports and arrest warrants, the 21-year-old victim was inside Frederick Hatley's office having a professional conversation about the job when it quickly changed. He told police Hatley inquired about his past sexual relationships. The victim says he became very uncomfortable and tried to leave when Hatley said he had a loaded pistol inside his desk. Before he could leave the office, however, he tells police Hatley pinned him against his will, pulled down the victim's pants, and sodomized him. The news has people who live in the housing complex worried.
It's not safe because he has keys to these houses, and I have a little brother. Scary.
Today, the executive director's car still sits in the spot marked executive director in front of the housing authority in Arkadelphia. He was there in his office today, but declined to talk with us about the rape accusation. Hatley has repeatedly denied to police having any sexual contact, consensual or otherwise, and voluntarily supplied them with a DNA sample for comparison. A rape kit examination was done on the victim. 2 different DNA samples were found, one of the victims and the others was Hatley's. Back to you.
All right, Josh, thanks very much. A Faulkner County woman in jail tonight accused of scalding a 6-year-old child. 29-year-old Ashley Birch charged with 2 felonies, domestic battery and child endangerment. KARK4's David Goins joining us now with more on the injuries to the child, severe enough to require a trip to the emergency room. David?
Yeah, Bob, that's correct. Some of these details, frankly, hard to deal with what police are looking at happened to this little girl. According to Conway police, boiling hot water poured on the 6-year-old girl as punishment at this Conway apartment complex off Dave Ward Drive Monday. Initially, the girl told ER staff at the hospital that she had fallen into a ditch on her way home from school, but when Birch left the room, police say the little girl told investigators that the injuries, in fact, that were covering her midsection and upper legs came from boiling water. It's an investigation that's taken aback even veteran police detectives.
They have young children, have raised children, and just have a love for children, and to see something like this happen to a child, a 6-year-old child, is heartbreaking.
Detectives say Ashley Birch is not related to the little girl, but does live with her. At last check, Birch is still in the Faulkner County Jail on a $100,000 bond. She has a court date of October 21st. Bob, back to you.
All right, David, thanks very much. The future of a brand new tech park being discussed right now. KARK4's Suzanne Bruner is at that meeting where they're drilling down 3 potential sites. So we're still boiling this down to one to try to decide on the other, or somewhere in there, this tech park thing.
Yeah, Bob, well, as you can see, it is an empty house right now. The meeting just ended, and they did not make a decision on one of the 3 proposed locations they want to build this technology park. They did wrap up one of the presentations, though. I did grab this handout to give you an idea of what they were looking at. This proposed location they looked into a little more further. This one was University Avenue in Asher. As you can see, the area highlighted in red is where they would want to build this technology park right next to ULAR. That red area is about 20 acres or a little bit more. So that's one of the areas they're looking at. The other 2 proposed sites include a downtown site scattered on Main Street and the other off University Avenue and Midtown. The board also looking about what they would like to see in this tech park. One group is on hand, and they were pushing the importance of small startup businesses. They believe this will help boost the local economy by creating job growth.
One of the major goals is to commercialize and to develop technology that's developed in the universities and Children's Hospital's Research Center here in Little Rock.
And again, I just want to reiterate, they did not make a decision on any of the 3 sites. What happens next, though, is they're going to look into those 3 sites further, kind of rank them, which one that they like the best, and then talk about it at their next meeting next month. So we'll keep you updated on that as well. Reporting live in Little Rock, Suzanne Bruner, KARK4 News.
All right, Suzanne, thanks very much. Still to come this evening, we'll profile a woman inspiring others in the fight against breast cancer using her own story in today's Health Matters Report.
And a chilly start to the day across Arkansas. Here in Little Rock, the coldest temperature we've seen this week, 50 degrees this morning. 77 was our afternoon high. We're going to warm it up back into the 80s. Some places maybe even warmer. We do have a couple of cold fronts on the way, and they'll be bringing changes just in time for the weekend. Your forecast is straight ahead.
From the station that brings you local news that matters, this is KARK4 News at 6 in high definition. With Bob Clausen, Ashley Katz, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan, and Aaron Peters with your Razorback Nation report.